Okay, so that's basically all that you do, but I do want to show you, I got to this right off my dashboard, okay? But the other way that you can do this, and I personally, because I do use chalk and wire in my own class, have found it easier to come over here to assessment, to click assess. Now it lists all of my students who have turned in an assessment, and I can immediately filter it by instrument, and I see that I have these 3 students. So what it means is I come over here and I go in and I assess just like I did before.
Now, to my untrained eye, that looks exactly the same as before.
Right, and it is very similar. But the difference is it gives you a shorter list. It's just by student name,
Okay.
if you noticed, and it especially if you are a professor who has 3 or 4 assignments that are going on chalk and wire,
Okay.
which some do.
Yes.
If you only have one, then going through the dashboard is fine. But I've found it easier to go this way. But it's chalk and wire, it's technology. Play with it and see what works best for you.
What I'm taking away from this is I might want to explore these
Yes.
these upper gray boxes a bit, and under assessment, maybe look at that assess feature.
Yes.
It might be a little different than what I see by
Right.
default.
Right. And the other thing you'll find under here are all assessments, and you'll see the other thing I want
What does
you to
the
see.
results? What does that?
Results are the results that your results, what you've given to your students.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you come over here under work, because faculty do have work assessment and curriculum, if you come over here under work, no, it's not under work, it's under curriculum. You'll see here all of the assessments instruments that are used in your program.
Because I kind of liked how I saw the big picture
Right.
of the rubric.
So I'll just look at this one and we'll assess. And then I go there. You can go there, and then you'll see the whole rubric.
Ah, okay.
And then you have room to make comments. And then if you click that, you can resize that column. You can also resize this column.
To see the whole,
To
their
see
work
their
in it.
work. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to, let's say I have that work, and tell me if I'm thinking right or wrong. Like I'm going to leave this in here. I'm not going to download this somewhere.
No, there'd be no reason to.
Because it's already online.
It's already online, and you can actually go in here and make comments, either verbal or written.
So I don't need to print this out and then write comments on it.
No, you do not.
It defeats the purpose.
It absolutely defeats the purpose.
Okay.
Okay. So we want to save some trees, and this is a way to do it.
Okay.
The other thing that I would strongly suggest to faculty is to come in here where it says work and go to My Portfolios and create a portfolio the same way your student does for your program. So all you need to do is come over here and say create a new portfolio. You're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call this test. You choose the table of contents and choose your program. So Todd would choose AYA Math. And there's also one, if it's a graduate course in the AYA program, there's also for AYA Math, it'll say AYA GR. Then come here and click Create. And now you've created the portfolio that students create. And what you will see over here is the table of contents that students will use.
So these are all the rubrics for all the assessments
Exactly.
I will complete as part
of
member of that program.
Of the AYA program. So for example, this past semester, Todd taught EDT 430, and he had a 5-part lesson plan. So what students had to do, they went into lesson plan 1, and you have to make sure that you're on the right page. Students have to make sure that they're on the right page. Lesson plan 1, they add text.
So right now you're going through the steps that students go through more
exactly.
than faculty don't submit work this way.
No,
it's good for them to see how it works.
It's good for faculty to understand what students do, because a lot of the issues that come up with students can be taken care of if the faculty member understands the process for submitting the work. So they say just either they're going to copy and paste the assignment in here, they're going to do it in here, they're going to upload an attachment, or they're going to say something like this. It's up to the professor to tell them how to do that. Once they've added their text, they save it. And once they do this, they can close this. And now they're back here. Now they're ready to submit.
The submission, I've talked to faculty that forget that, or students that forget that step.
Exactly. So once they click the submit button first, it allows them to type in their instructor's name. Just begin to type it, and then it'll show up. And then you see a little check mark next to the name. And then the next step is to click submit again.
Now, can you submit to more than one teacher at a time?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So once you've hit that submit button the second time, it will say you have successfully submitted, and then here it shows what you submitted. Okay?
Now, if you save and don't submit, you can come back at a later time and
yes,
find your saved work
and submit it then. But it avoids a lot of frustration if they just know to hit that submit button the second time. So I would encourage faculty to create the portfolio for your program, to go in and practice using it as if it were for your class, to see how it works and what students do. And you can actually submit it to yourself, as you saw I did, at the beginning, to come up with some portfolios for this session, this demo session.
So like for these students here, I noticed that the first class listed is 429A.
Mm-hmm.
So probably in that class, that's the first time they encounter this
right.
portfolio?
Well, no, in the near future, they'll encounter it the first time in EDP 201.
Okay.
And then in EDP 301.
It's kind of good to get an understanding of when
right.
these are created. And,
yes. And actually, many students, if they were in the honors program or took freshman comp, they would have used chalk and wire in those programs.
Right.
If they've taken, were possibly thinking about business, they might have used it there. So, there are other programs that are using chalk and wire besides education. But basically, that's how simple it is. If you have issues, you can always contact Teresa McGowan, but IT services should also be a resource. And there are some students down in the DLL who know how to use chalk and wire.
Now, I heard this rumor that you're retiring at some point.
yes.
We can still call you once you're
No, not once I retire. And you make sure you take that out of there. I'm positive.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully you have good luck assessing and good luck with your student submissions. It's really quite simple, but don't be afraid to play with it a little bit. It's technology, and that's what technology is all about.